Welcome, welcome, welcome. Went down to the brew shop and got the grain I needed for this project and had Bob at the store mill the specialty grains, but not the 5 pounds of two-row that I bought. I have a grain mill attachment for my stand mixer that I wanted to try out. There's many experiments in this project, so as you can see, the two-row is not milled, but the other two are that are separated by price point, not by color. Have been milled to give me a reference. And after some playing around with the grind size adjuster on the grain mill, I got it pretty close. There's a little bit more powder, I think, in the one that I milled as opposed to the stuff that Bob milled for me. And this is the attachment. It goes onto the front of the KitchenAid stand mixers, which are great. And I'm using it because I had it in the house already. I didn't have to buy anything. And I think it did a pretty bang-up job. And if you have one of these, I encourage you to use it. Play around with that little dial on the front of it to get the grind size the way you want it, because it'll reduce it straight down to a powder if you want it to. I filled the hopper, I think, 3 times, and it didn't take that long at all. It was quite enjoyable to do this, and that means that I can buy grain and store it indefinitely, really. Well, not indefinitely, but can store it for a long time because I won't mill it until right before I brew it in the future. So I think it worked out pretty well. And this is the mash tun that I have cleaning in some OxyClean and very, very hot tap water. As hot as I can get it. And I think the dishwasher had been running, so it was plenty hot. But that's from Home Depot. And here's a hint: all the buckets at Home Depot are all food grade. Even the orange ones are food grade. And here I have the mash tun set up and the grain bill. That's the entire grain bill. And I kind of mixed it up with my hands. I'm not really worried about sanitation because we're going to boil this whole thing. Here's the steamer insert. That is my manifold. Put that in the bottom of the bucket. And the spout that I put in, just drilled a hole, put the spout in. I already had the spout, so that didn't cost me anything. Bucket, I think, was $2.50, $3.50, something like that. Steamer insert was not that much. And the water that I'm heating up, I give it a stir every now and again just to mix it all together so I can get an accurate reading with my digital thermometer. The whole process worked as well as I would have expected it to. There were a couple of things I did wrong, but that's okay. I'm just about ready to dough in, and I wanted to set some grains in there, just not dumping them in, to try to keep as many of the grains on this side of the manifold as I could. Here, I'm just, putting a little bit more of the grain bill into the mash tun carefully. And I'm using the standard issue coffee cup. This is going to be a 3-gallon batch, so that is as big of a mash tun as I will need, and I can use that for any partial mashes that I do in the future, and that'll be plenty big. Here's the mash water, which is the right temperature. Now I'm ready to dough in, and here's the temperature of the grain, which is somewhere above 60, like room temperature about. So I take the mash water and dough in. And I guess the point of doughing in, those that have done this more will know more why, but it makes sense that you want to get the water everywhere that the grain is with no air pockets. So carefully, because this isn't the standard manifold, so it's not really that filtery. So you gotta be careful not to disturb things. And I think I did a little bit, but that's the first time I've used this, so I think it was okay. Pour a little bit of hot water in. Stir it up. A little hot water in, stir it up. A little hot water in, poke it around. Make sure all the air pockets are in. So, I was doing this all in my kitchen. There's no boiling outside, no work chiller. I chilled it in the sink, which you'll see a little later. And that worked quite well. With the help of one of my brew club buddies, gave me some ideas on that. If you don't have a brew club, go get one. They're very helpful. And here we've let it mash for about an hour, and I'm starting the Vorloff process. You can't really see it in here, but I have a piece of aluminum foil that's on the top of the grain with holes punched in it to act like a little drizzle filter thing. So you can see the beer is quite dark. It was darker than I thought it was going to be. The target style was a brown ale, but it came out very brown, very dark. And we're Vorloffing and trying to settle that grain bed down, and I think it worked pretty well. All in all, I think it worked fairly. This whole process worked pretty well. I don't know exactly what I'm looking at. I think I might be watching TV while I'm doing this. It's one of the wonders of having the great room kitchen thing going on. And here we're going to start sparging, I think. We're taking the sparge water out from the right, going all the way to the left onto the grain bed, and then pouring the pitcher of sparge into the boil kettle, which is in the middle. This might not be the most hygienic thing, but hey, we're going to boil this anyway, so not that big a deal. Here we are at near the end of the boil, and I put the hops in cheesecloth bags, and I think I made the cheesecloth bags a little bit too small, but that's what I had. Here's the carboy, sanitized, with the sanitized cap, and here's all the sanitizing stuff, the airlock and the filter, and that's the cooling bath. Now I filled the cooling bath twice with regularly cold tap water. Our tap water is pretty cold, but it got down to a pitchable temperature in about 20 minutes, which I think is fairly good for this style of in the kitchen kind of brewing. Dipping the pitcher into the little measuring cup into some star sand, and then transferring it into the carboy. This is doing two things. It's making sure I don't spill it all over the place, because any of you that have dealt with wort know that it's kind of sticky stuff. And it's also aerating it as I'm doing it. And once I got this going, it started. Once I pitched the yeast, it started fairly quickly. So I think it aerated just fine. I initially intended to have 3-gallon batch, but it ended up being about 2.5 gallons, and now it's in the secondary, and it's about a little less than that because we lost some of the yeast. But that's the basics, the ins and outs of the all grain in the kitchen business. So if you'd like, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down, give it a rating, I don't care. But we'll see you again here on Manosaxy.